Hello folks, this is Andy's Sunday morning guitar prattle number 2. Last week I discussed my 4 sizes of guitars built in the image of Martin designs, really between 1888 to 1934 designs. That's my thing. But I do have some guitars that are definitely Gibson inspired, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. So, Gibson really came to fame by developing a build style of guitar different to Martin's and different to everybody else, built on the principles of violin family. And that was the archtop. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but I'm just going to talk about 2 flat tops. Gibson didn't really get into flat tops until quite late, mid-20s I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. Right, all these guitars are quite cold and I've just retuned them. They're probably all going to... Sounds all right. Right. This is my Waterloo WL-12, built by Collins. Story, 2016, I decided I was going to buy a Gibson small body, L00, something similar to that. I had a guitar built in the style of the Robert Johnson L1 LO, which was very nice, but I wanted something a little bit more Gibson sounding. A friend of mine bought a Gibson L00 along to my club one night. He bought this as scrap wood, basically. It was, you know, it had been completely smashed up. He lovingly rebuilt it, and he brought it along, let me play it, and it was so light. I felt that if you didn't hold it down, it'd float up to the ceiling. And it was so resonant and so beautiful. I went in sort of some Zen mist playing it, and I seem to remember being broken out of that by his hand, sort of saying, come on, let me have my guitar back. Beautiful. No, he wouldn't sell it to me. And he still plays it on YouTube, so hi Bob Long. So I decided that I was going to go and buy myself one of those Gibsons. I went to a shop not too far away that had 4 or 5 different versions of the Gibson L00. Money in my pocket, and I was going to buy. And I spent some time with these guitars, and none of them worked for me. It was the same old trouble that I've experienced time and time again with new Gibsons. Either there's something wrong with the cosmetics, or there's something really wrong with the setup, or it just doesn't sound right, and combinations sometimes of all 3. And I was about to give up and go home, and I espied in the corner a little display of guitars with rather garish sunbursts and things like this. What was that? Ah, those are our new Waterloo line from Collins. And then I saw a 12 fretter amongst them, this one. So I was handed it. They always tune up guitar before they give it to you in that shop, very nice. Yeah, it was rather nice, in a funny sort of way, a little bit eccentric. It was Gibson-esque, it was dry sounding, it was quite tight at that time. And it had a 1 3/4 nut, which doesn't suit me ideally, but since that time in 2016 I've lost a great deal of weight through a cancer treatment, and even my fingers got skinnier, so it doesn't worry me so much. I got it home, didn't like it, strange enough, decided to sell it until one of my students dropped his Aria guitar on it and put 2 dents on the top, and then I thought, oh well, I might as well keep it. Left it hanging up on the wall during my treatment, didn't touch it for 6 months or more, and then got it down, and it'd been listening to the radio, and opened up. Now, it doesn't normally sound exactly like this because I would normally put phosphor bronze EJ16s on it like all my other small guitars, but these are Dunlop bronze strings, which were sent to me in error, and so I just thought I'd try some old-fashioned strings on an old-fashioned guitar, and it seems to work quite nicely. So you know, it's the ideal thing for stuff. You know, nice little guitar. Very, very basic. Maple back and sides. And this points in its favour for this one. Maple back and sides, cross braced, not ladder braced, which they also offered, and an adjustable truss rod, which isn't in all Waterloos. So that works for me. There we go. So that is number one. In flat tops, we're now going to go to an extreme, from a little 00 size guitar to a monster. This is my Santa Cruz RS. Not allowed to call it a Roy Smek. A little story about Roy Smek guitars. Made by Gibson for about 2 years, I think, about 1934 to 1936. Only made as a Hawaiian guitar with a great big 2 1/4 wide nut to be played like that. Extra deep to try and get more sound out to the audience by Roy Smek. 5 inches deep. Yeah. I had been thinking, yeah, I've got, you know, my Martin style guitars, but shouldn't I have a Martin flat top? But they were all 14 frets and quite thin necks and stuff like that. So I thought about this, and then I thought I saw a guitar on a website by a guitar and banjo company on the east coast of the States, and it was called a DS-12. So I ordered one for my 60th birthday in, I think, 2008, and when it arrived, it had a whole lot of problems. The nitrocellulose hadn't cured, so you could, you know, you picked it up like that and it would leave 2 fingerprints and a smudge on it. It could not possibly be set up to be played with a plectrum at all without buzzing. I like to have my action a little bit higher than most people, about 100 to 80, 90, but it wouldn't do anything like that unless it was over 125 thou, an 1/8 of an inch tall. And a luthier of mine finally diagnosed the problem, and he said that it was understrutted and that it was the top was just too thin. Most expensive guitar I've ever bought to date, and an absolute failure. The dealer took it back in the end, but we'd worked on it so much. Anyway, he gave me another guitar, a Larive, in compensation, which was a beautiful guitar, but not what I was looking for. So I sent that on to a friend sooner or later. And my search for a Roy Smek style guitar continued, and I was at a bluegrass festival or something like that at one time, and I saw a chap playing one of these, a very early model. I asked him to show me around it, and I played it for a while. So I had to focus in then, focus in tight. So I kept a lookout for these. Apparently there was only about 70, 75 of these made. They make them to order, so they don't make them unless someone orders them. I saw one on a website for a company, Northern Lights Music in New Hampshire. I phoned him up, had a chat with him, blah 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 blah, had a little think about it. Would he ship to the UK? First of all, that was answered, yes he would. costs quite steep. And then I thought about it for a few weeks. I rang him back and said, I'd like to buy that Royce make. And he said, oh no. He said, it's been hanging on my wall for over 2 years, and just this morning someone's actually bought it online. Oh, right. Fear not, he said, I can have one built for you. Only takes 6 to 9 months. Oh, right, okay, I'll have a think. And about a month later, the very same guitar appeared on American eBay. Got in touch with the seller, very nice chap. Said that the 5-inch deep body really didn't work for his shoulders, and so he decides to move it on. Yes, he would ship it to the UK. Took a bit of convincing. We settled on a deal perfectly equitable for both parties, and it arrived in perfect condition, and it is a beautiful guitar. Was very tight when I first bought it, and it took some time to get that good thrum. 1998, Jackson Browne asked a luthier called Roy McAllister to build his interpretation of the Royce Mech design, and he built 2, I think, for Jackson Browne. And Jackson Browne collected original ones and had them altered by people, and even Gibson brought out a Jackson Browne model at some point. I tried 2 of them, but again, same problems. Gibson, cosmetically poor. One of them had the strings so far down on the frets that it couldn't even be played out of the box. Don't understand what's going on with it. So this is my Santa Cruz RS. There you go. Now, of course, Gibson really were famous for making arch tops, as I mentioned before. And shortly after I retired in 2007, I bought myself a Harmony in 2006 and started thinking about playing Western swing and American songbook, stuff like that. And after a while I found an Eastman AR806, which was lovely, but it came out in their classic finish, which was very variable in those days, and it was virtually cherry red, and I really didn't like the look of this guitar, so I traded that on. And I found a tutor who could teach me all this comping and stuff like that. Great chap, and he had a 1934 Gibson L-5. Oh, it was so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. And I couldn't possibly get one, but I started looking out for Gibson arch tops, learning that they have to be a single number, L4, L5, L7, not a double number, L40, L50. It's a slightly different design build and not so good. So one turned up in Seattle. Seattle. A Gibson L4 1934. Had a chat with them, sent them lots and lots of money, and this arrived. If you're going to search for Gibsons, have a Gibson. So this is a 1934 Gibson art shop experts will say no, that's not a 1934 L4, because in that year they had round holes. Yes, they did. This was built in 1934 to a 1935 spec. The L5 went from 16 inches to 17 inches in 1935, so the 16-inch bodies were used for the L4, but not with such a nice sunburst finish. Still maple back and sides, finished the same on the front, but nickel instead of gold stuff. Nice little inlays, and a mahogany neck, solid mahogany neck, rather than the maple three-piece neck on the L5. But there we are. I took it along to my tutor, and he played it alongside his L5, and he said tonally he couldn't find the difference. I think he was being rather nice. The dealer didn't treat me very nicely. He said that it had been nicely fretted, and original frets. There were no frets left, so I couldn't even play chords without it buzzing, so I had to have new frets fitted. And he didn't tell me about a couple of scratches on it that he'd filled in with a felt pen or something. But there we go, I've got my Gibson. And I get lost on it. There we go. However, I still had a bit of a yen for that Eastman, but in a sunburst finish. Oh, Gibson guitars should be in a sunburst finish. And in 2018 I found one on eBay, collection only, couldn't do that, it was a long way away. A gentleman kindly brought it down, and here it is. Now you can hear that it is much more resonant, much warmer than the Gibson. A much more modern neck, a much thinner neck, but the same dimensions, same materials, probably Sitka, that was probably Adirondack, and maple back and sides. So there we are. This is my Eastman AR805 Sunburst, built in 2008, so I bought it when it was 10 years old. A lot of finish checking on it, which is strange. I think it was stored in somewhere very hot and very cold and things like that, but it's fine, and I wish I could do it the credit that it deserves, like the Gibson. Like all my guitars, in fact. So there we go. That's enough of that. I'll shut up now. I hope you found that interesting. As always, I will say I welcome comments and queries and corrections. I don't have my history so perfectly memorised for Gibson as I do for Martin, I must admit. I probably left something very important out. So yeah, let me know in your comments, and I strive to answer them all. Also, I would like to say that I do have some vacancies for giving Zoom lessons if anybody's interested. Obviously not in comping, that's